Move on to the second player that you've shortlisted on today's episode, and that's Jesse Bisiwu, who is a new arrival at Barcelona. He's a left winger. He joins from technically Club Brugge. Well, technically not Club Brugge, but Club Brugge's academy, so to speak, for 8.5 million euros. 18 years old, also quite tall, 6'1". I don't know why, but I'm going by the heights from this week's show. We don't know a huge about him, Ewan. At youth level, he's done perfectly well for Club Brugge. I'm looking at 5 goals and 3 assists in about 40 games across different competitions and different teams. But, he's going to have to make a big step up to Barcelona this season.
Yeah, it's a massive step up, isn't it? You're going from the academy team at Club Brugge to one of the biggest clubs in the world. And if you're being realistic, you would expect him to play too much. He's not going to be a regular. I think he'll get plenty of opportunities across the course of the season. You do have this contrast between Real Madrid and Barcelona the last couple of seasons under Hansi Flick at Barca, where he's put a lot of faith in young players. We talk about La Masia, it's the best, or maybe not the best, but it's arguably the best, but it's definitely maybe the most prestigious and well-known academy in world football. And you've had, Pau Cabrasi, you've had Lamine Yamal, 2 players that have been, instrumental to Barcelona's Liga title successes across the last 2 years, and obviously in the summer with Spain as well. And we're going to talk about it later, but there's a lot of good talent coming through La Masia at the moment. And Bisiwu is slightly different, or very different, because he comes from Bruges, but talk about market value going up. We can guarantee that his market value will rise in the Liga market value update, purely because he's only at £800,000 at the moment, and he's signed for 8.5 million euros. And again, he's had a really good impact. He made his debut in pre-season against Basel at the weekend. He scored twice. His first was an incredible finish. His second was more of a kind of poacher's goal, scoring from a Lamine Yamal cutback. Prefers to play off the left-hand side. He can play off the right, but I think most of his minutes will come from the left. He likes to cut it on his right foot. He is quite two-footed to that sort of extent as well. Very direct, very skillful. One to keep an eye on. They've obviously changed their options in the front line this season. I'd expect Barcelona still to sign a striker. We all know who they want. Whether they can get Julian Alvarez is a different matter, but you've got Adiemi who's came in, and I think he'll probably play more minutes as a 9 than a winger. And they've got options. Obviously, Rashford's left, and they've brought a couple of young players who can push for minutes in the league, and I think he is one who will definitely make an impact this season.
Yeah, you kind of touched on what I was going to ask next, because on the face of it, people maybe see this deal and think, okay, this is just Barcelona swooping in, scooping up an academy player from a well-known academy in Belgium. They're going to bury him away somewhere, send him out on loan, see what he looks like in 3 or 4 years. But you've got a head coach in Hansi Flick who has no qualms, and as you said, throwing young players in the deep end. And when you look at that Barcelona squad, as it currently stands, as you said, things could change. We can only talk about what is the case here, and just mid and towards the end of August. But you look at that front line that Barcelona has to work with next season, particularly on the left-hand side. Okay, there's Rafinha, who's kind of the undisputed left winger there. They spent a lot of money picking up Anthony Gordon, who may end up playing more like a false 9 or playing as a second striker, which is something that he's been doing more and more. You also mentioned Karim Adeyemi, who I think has had a really difficult time of it in Germany, because people look at him and they see his speed, and successive head coaches at Dortmund have just assumed he's a winger, but I actually think he's more of a centre forward as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if he also plays a centre forward, as you suggested. And then you got Lamine Yamal on the right hand side. But when you add that all up together, it's only 2 actual out and out wingers in that team, with Anthony Gordon and Karim Adeyemi sharing that centre forward spot, or maybe one of them playing off the other one, so to speak. Now, they might pick up some more players going forward, but maybe more so than in any kind of period in Barcelona's recent past, that front line is really quite threadbare, and there is an opportunity there for someone like Bisiwu to kind of step in and say, well, I can play in the left, I can play in the right, whatever is necessary. And Hansi Flick will say, go do it. And very quickly, You've got a very young player here who's currently sitting on a market value of just €600,000. Um, in 12 months' time, there could be another zero behind that easily, or maybe another two zeros behind that.
Yeah, I mean, his market value is going to go up. We do know that. It's an interesting point. I think now with Barcelona, they want kind of flexibility so they can adapt to different situations and games in their front line. Like you mentioned, I wouldn't be surprised to see Anthony Gordon start up front a lot. Barcelona have lost Ferran Torres and Robert Lewandowski, who were their two first choice number 9s last season, and they've not really brought in a striker. You can't call Anthony Gordon a recognised striker. He's a winger who can play up front. We all know they want Julian Alvarez. If he comes in, that will change the dynamic a little bit. But I expect the younger players to get minutes, and what I envisage happening this season, especially at the start of the campaign, is that if Barcelona are winning games comfortably, 2-3 goals up, then these younger boys will get minutes, and that's when they'll get a chance to impress. And if they take it, you can only really judge off pre-season and one game that he's played, but he's certainly made an impact already. And one other player I want to mention who I didn't put into this list because I was only had 3 is Ibrahim Tunkara, who I believe is the jewel of La Masia crown. He's only 16, so it's probably too soon to put too much expectation on him, but I believe he is the best prospect at Barcelona at the moment, so maybe keep an eye on him as well this season.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go. You're getting 4 for the price of 3 on this week's episode. But yeah, as the old kind of YouTube compilation videos used to say back in the day, remember the name.
Yeah.
And there might be a very exciting kind of new winger on Barcelona's front line.